and gentlemen of the Film Gods podcast. Hello again. It's your host, Isusko, at the time scheduler on the Instas. Thank you so much for coming in and listening, for dipping your toe into the Film Gods pool of wisdom and knowledge and fun and laughter that I hope it is. That you get 45 minutes of hearing some stories and hearing some friends and family talking about what they do, hearing how much they love it. And today's episode, I'm going to say, is brought to you by CineCertified. There's no money exchanged. I think what we're trying to do here is give a voice to an organisation, a company that is trying to, from the grassroots, better their department. And I reached out, and we have two guests on that are going to be talking about what they do, why they do it, and why they've set this company up. And I'm not going to delve too much into it now, but I think it's just such a phenomenal idea. You can go read about them at CineCertified.org. And whenever you are listening to this in this third dimensional time and space, I'm hoping it's before the BSC Expo event that is happening in Battersea the 14th and the 15th of February 2025, because CineCertified are going to be there. They're going to be talking on stands, and they're going to be able to answer any questions about what they're doing, why they're doing it. So if you're in the camera department, if you're a runner that wants to become a camera trainee, or if you're new to the industry at all and just want to get an understanding of what a department does and how it works and functions, pop down to the BSC. So that is the British Society of Cinematographers, expo.com. Got all the information. It's a free event. Can't go the Thursday unless you've been invited, because that's the VIP evening reception. But pop along Friday and Saturday. And I think, as always, I always try and finish this little intro with something that I've heard, something that I've enjoyed, and something that's resonated as a phrase or a mantra or a quote. And there's an American chap who I've been listening to, and he kind of said, you know, his questions are, what is the key to success and what is the key to life? And actually the key to success is very much summed up in what this company is trying to do, and the passion that they have and the enthusiasm that they have to start something from an idea to where it is today, which is in beta testing, and then they're going to be doing a soft launch of the website Q2 sometime, end of some March, April-ish time, but Q2. So I'll keep you informed as to that. And then in a year or two, they'll have an app that then documents and does everything that the website's doing. But it's a start, and it's the film crew themselves that are doing it. They're not waiting for someone else to take the reins. They're not waiting for another organisation to help their department become stronger, more efficient. So big up and massive shout out to them. And so I leave you with the answer to what Derek Grant said is the key to life and the key to success. So the key to success, consistency. And the key to life is balance. And as film crew, consistency can be tricky, but when we know we're working for that week, for that month, for those 6 weeks, we know that we will consistently give our best and we will consistently learn. But then the balance comes, where after a job, after 6 weeks, after 6 months, you need that break. And it all comes down to that little break, the reset in between the crazy jobs. Now, on a commercial, it might be 5 manic days or 3 manic days, but you need that little balance. You need to go and do some swimming. You need to go and pick up the kids from school. You need to go and walk the dog, go see your parents, go talk to your friends. The balance, key to life. But that consistency, the key to success. So ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the episode. Let's go.
Ladies and gentlemen,
So, ladies and gents of the film gods, wherever you are in Hollywood, Nollywood, Bollywood, globally speaking, and in the UK, our guest today is something that actually strikes a chord inside my heart because we were just saying offline, there's so many stories about actors and directors about on massive films and how they feel and what they do. But actually, our guest today are in the trenches, on the front lines. They're the ones humping cameras up mountains. They're the ones in dirty, smelly, rainy car parks trying to get filters and everything onto these cameras so that we can watch these beautiful pieces of content. And I think the story and the journey that we're going to hear about today of what they're doing with an organization and a company that they've set up to benefit the British film industry is absolutely commendable. And I just really desperately wanted to get their stories out. So, firstly, thank you so much for coming on. Just give us a little shout as to what's your name, what's your role on the call sheet, and then give us a little journey as to how you got to where you are now.
Hi, so I'm George Telling, and I'm currently a focus puller. Been in the industry for about 13 years, where I started off as a trainee and have worked my way up since then.
Nice.
Hey, I'm Sandra Pennington. I'm a second OC, slowly stepping up to first OC. I have started in the German industry, actually at a rental house, and then worked myself through Germany, Dubai, and then eventually into the UK. And I completely fell in love with camera assisting.
Nice. There is a thing about your kind of camera department. They have a very solid structure. There is always a process. In the ADs, you kind of go, oh, I'd love a third, but I can't afford a third. I kind of, in the camera team, there is a very definitive role structure. So what attracted you both into that camera department?
So for me, it was quite a long journey because I only started watching films fairly late and well, early into my teens. So I didn't grow up really with films. And I watched Lord of the Rings on the big screen and completely
Classics.
fell in love with it. And then at some point, my parents got me the production diaries, and that's when I knew I wanted to be in the film industry and specifically camera department because it seemed like the coolest job in the world. It is. Um, and so that kind of shaped my journey. I finished school in the UK, started studying because I had no contacts. I wish somebody had told me I didn't need to study. And started out in the rental house at Ari in Munich, mothership, so to speak. And then I started my journey there.
Nice. So you did. So you went to film school, got your degree in film, and then jumped into rental houses, which makes sense for cameras. It's just like the learning. It's like the perfect place to just get your hands on equipment. Correct.
Correct. It
Oh,
was the
nice.
best place to start simply because you learn all the equipment, you have the chance to meet people, and kind of they explain to you how it works, how you can get in, etc. I mean, by no means it's never an easy journey to become a freelancer and kind of drop in
Hmm.
into the camera department, but I was really keen.
And what about you, George?
So when I first sort of realised I like the film industry, I think must have been about 10 or something. I was very young and was playing around with the sort of remember the Lego stop motion animation
Hmm.
sets, and I thought it was just a fun project. And then my parents said, "Well, why don't you think about doing it for a job?" And I was like, "You could do this for a job? This is brilliant." And then sort of went to college and went to film school from that, and I think one of my first ever days on set, I was an essay on a music video and had no idea what was going on. And sort of, I remember looking at the sort of camera team going, "That looks fun. I think I might want to sort of try and get down that sort of route."
Oh, nice. And what was that job? Is that can you remember it? Have you got it there sitting on
Uh,
your mantelpiece at home? Just a little picture on set.
yeah, it was. I think it was a pendulum music video, and it was at
Nice.
3 mils, and it was a part of a sort of 100-person mosh pit. So it was a very sweaty day.
Amazing. And then so you both kind of seemed like you caught the bug early. You knew where you wanted to go. You got into camera, and then there is a natural progression up through the ranks, which is what we want to talk about today, the organization and the company that you started. So let's just, I mean, sorry, we were talking just offline about, you went to the expo and there was this slight frustration that you were getting as feedback from people within the industry of just certain elements of it. So let's just touch base on that quickly, and just to give an understanding of the company that we're going to be talking about today.
So basically, over the last few years, I mean, both George and me, or many people that are involved with us, are quite experienced technicians and have been doing this for a long time. So we have observed the changes that happen in the industry over the last few years. And considering that I've been involved with the GBCT and the GTC and the ACO and the training committees, and I'm also a vice president for the camera branch, vector camera branch.
How do you have time to film? You got so much going on there.
I don't know myself, to be honest. But I'm quite close to people reaching out and telling me their worries or complaints or concerns, anything to do with the camera department or training within. So I just noticed that a lot of people have sort of mentioned the same things over the years, and the worries got more and more. And it got to the point where we were at the BSc Expo.
Sorry, just to jump back in, what were the kind of things that they were saying? What were the kind of slight concerns or issues that we're looking to address?
So some of the concerns that were brought up by people that reached out were, for example, around COVID, it got really, really busy, and a lot of people got the opportunity, which is fantastic, to jump into roles and given opportunities that they might have not gotten beforehand. But the same problem then, at the same time, the problem that came hand in hand with that is that many people stepped into roles they might have been a bit premature for them, and hence might have not been able to catch up with the knowledge that they were lacking, or might not be aware of the knowledge that they didn't have, which is quite natural. And at the same time, while that was developing, we then had the last 2 years, for example, where work was quite low, and many of the established people that obviously by that point have a lot of kids, have a family, have a house and mortgage, they found it really difficult to sustain themselves, meaning that some of them were forced to leave the industry. So while we got a lot of amazing new people in, that might not be quite at the standard or the level of knowledge that is required from the job, we also lost a lot of knowledge that we should have and would have kept normally. So there was quite a bit of a vacuum in knowledge that appeared, and that seems like it's getting worse and worse over time. The other thing that obviously is happening, and I'm one of the people that's super, super happy about this, is we are trying to diversify the department and making sure that more people have access to it, which is something that we really support. But the way that it's being done, many times, for example, productions or higher ups choosing trainees or let's call it lower ranks in the camera department, is not really the way forward, because by just putting people into a position without empowering them through knowledge, you're not enabling them to stand on their own 2 feet, meaning that they're going to be struggling. It's like, pushing them into deep water without them being able to swim. And it's a concern that is shared by many of us. So we were hoping, by the end of that BSc Expo, I just got to the point where I said something needs to be done. And I ran into Hermes, I ran into George, I ran into a couple of other people, and we just said, look, let's do something. And then that sort of started, and we sat together with coffees and pondered of how we could address all these issues, because we obviously at the heart of where everything is happening, like this is our department and this is our careers, and we care deeply about them. So we slowly developed something that we are quite proud of, and hoping that people can see the benefit of.
So then, George, you kind of, the two of you had gone to the expos, you'd had this kind of feedback. And I think most people that don't have the passion or the enthusiasm to take on more stuff to try and benefit the industry would have just gone, yeah, it'll work out. But it sounds like the two of you, plus I'm sure a host of other people wrapped around you, decided to make a change. So what's the company? What's its ethos? What are you trying to do? What are the basics? What's the groundwork and the foundation? And how have you gone from that meeting point at the expo to where we are today?
So it's been a long
And winding. Right, sorry, I'll stop.
Yeah, it has been a long winding road of
Yes.
there was a lot of chats to begin with of I think we all agreed that we wanted to make a change to the film industry, that would be quite a big change if it went well, for the better. And obviously that doesn't happen overnight, and that's
No.
something that is difficult to start getting off the ground. So we've picked up pace as we've gone along, and we're attempting to do that. And so our core sort of product, if you like, of if from a company stance, is the camera trainee logbook, which we are currently working on to develop a digital version of that, so that people won't have to take around the logbooks all the time. And that means anyone with access to the internet will be able to get on this course, or not a course as such. It's one thing we're trying to push is that we're not another course or a scheme. There's lots of trainee schemes and things that exist out there. All we're trying to do is standardize the training between them, and make a framework of, this is what you need to know. These are sort of checkpoints going up your career as a trainee. Once you've hit all those checkpoints, you're then certified as, the job of a camera trainee, and you're free to step up and stuff. And the idea being that I used the analogy the other week of like building crew and stuff. There's no standard in the film industry in the same way that there is in other industries around the world. So with builders and stuff, if you had a bricklayer, they may have built sort of 40 walls that are just a straight normal wall, but until you then start putting in sort of lentils over windows, or start doing arches, or start doing sort of corners, they're all each individual extra bits to the skill which make up being a bricklayer. So you sort of go, okay, well, you've built 40 walls, but if you haven't done anything other than a normal flat wall in your front garden, then are you a bricklayer? And so it starts that kind of difficult question of, then how do we really determine this the role, and what's the fairest way of doing that? And so we're just trying to make a standardization really for everyone to adhere to.
Nice. Sandra?
The other thing that was very important to us is that we just create something that brings the community together, that takes away the divide between the regions, that takes away the sort of the knowledge hogging. We want, call me German, but in Germany, all university and learning is for free. You can sign up anytime. But it's out of a self-drive. It's about wanting to be as good as possible and achieving one's dreams. And the only person that should stand in between yourself and the dream is you as a person. If you're willing to put the work in, nobody else should be able to stop you. So what we wanted to create is a system, a framework that opens up all the doors and says, these are steps you can do in order to reach your goal. You will have to do the steps because it's still about learning a craft, and you have to take that serious. And that by no means is gatekeeping. It's just a respect for the craft that anybody learns. It's like studying politics, coming out and assuming that you're going to be a prime minister tomorrow. It won't happen. There's still the respect for the job and the journey that needs to be learned. But what we say, we're going to open all the doors. We're going to try to take away all the financial burden, because, people from all backgrounds don't or might not have the money to study. They might not have the money to be a freelancer in London and run a car. It's really incredibly hard to begin, especially if you don't have a network. And what we want to do is bring people together, create a community of people that are enthusiastic, that love their job and are keen to share the knowledge and teach, because that is part of our job, and say, all the doors are open and here's a red thread for the industry. All you have to do is follow that thread and you'll get to where you want to be.
And so is it specifically starting at the trainee level? Is that where your core demographic, or is that does it go higher, or is it just, are we just at this starting point?
So currently we're just we've just got the camera trainee logbook.
Nice.
The aim in future is we would like to roll this out for a clapper loader and a focus puller version of the logbook as well. There's also other departments that have started approaching us saying, could we talk about sort of building our own version with this framework, which we're in talks with some of those departments, and we'd love it in future to be every department on set pretty much has a version of this. So everyone knows what the job entails and how far through that sort of tick list they are in their career, and you can sort of see your career. It's sort of like a virtual CV, but broken down truly into what you're truly learning in each job and keeping that active learning going. Obviously, sort of that's as I said, to change to make a massive impact on the industry can take years. So I think it's a slow process for all that to come out.
Yeah, and then I guess the only other in my era, the other kind of department that has done this and gone there, so it's the grips seem to have organized themselves, got themselves certified. Now from an AD's perspective, you look at grips and you go, well, there are clear, there's stuff with car, there's low loaders, there's this, there's that, there's stuff that can be seen as easily. It seems like there's a simpler process to follow to be able to say, you've done this, you are that, you've done this, you're that. From a camera trainee perspective, not having been a camera trainee, is it as, like, say for example, for ADs, it's like, okay, you're a runner, you've done 20 jobs. There doesn't seem like there's those kind of milestones to say that you've done this, you've done that, you've done this, you've done that. So how have you thought about that? I'm sure you have. And how do you maneuver that area? I'm sensing that I'm doing a lot with my hands. I don't know why. I feel like I'm playing the accordion, so I'm going to put my hands down. But yes, how do you what's the process there, and how have you formulated that and got over that little hurdle?
Do you want to answer that, or shall I?
You go first, Sandra.
Okay, well, we can add to one another. So with the grips, obviously they've got the NVQ, which they managed to link to health and safety quite well. However, even they have reached out and have said we are actually lacking a structure that breaks down every single role to the nth degree. So they were quite interested as well. Just a little side note. However,
Little round of applause, little pat on your back there.
Having said that, it's not difficult in the sense of breaking the role down. I think it's quite clear of what the role consists of. Yes, there might be a bit of lazy second ACing or focus pulling where the roles get blurred and pushed onto the trainee, like, for example, writing sheets at the end of the day where the second AC goes home and the trainee finishes them off, which is not really the task of a trainee. But it's all about just standardizing it to the level where everybody's aware this is the role. I mean, the role of a trainee is to learn. That's all they have to do. They will learn through doing certain things on set, getting tasks, etc. And they should understand and learn the concept and build in order to become eventually a second IC. But their role is to learn. So being able to break it down to the point where it's understandable what knowledge they do not possess at what point and how they can get it is, I think, the main task. And that's what we've done. George, do you want to take over from here?
Yeah. I had another point and I've forgotten it, but there's one point I've got. One thing that we have been very cautious of is we've not included a skill as part of the trainee thing for video, and that's because we believe that a huge
as in playback and monitors and that kind of stuff.
Yeah,
okay,
absolutely. As we believe a huge part of how this change in specifically the camera department in the industry has gone over the last 10 years has been the introduction of video becoming the responsibility of the camera department.
Yes.
and the impact it's had.
Why did that happen? Because I mean, every time we go on, I don't do long form, but music videos, unless we've got something that particularly, you're going to need mix and overlay to really be able to get a playback. And normally it's kind of a 17 inch for the agency client management, whatever, and a 7-inch samurai or something, and another 17 for the director. But why is it thrown into your world?
Well, I'm not really sure how it started, but
Sandra knows.
Do you want me to answer the starting point and you continue from there?
Yeah.
The way it started, you have to go back to the film times, right? We used to look after camera accessories, and back in the days, we had maybe one 17-inch monitor and one onboard. So it was very manageable. There was nothing else to do than setting it up and maybe potentially moving it, but it was a different working style back then. So the role of a video department is relatively new, and obviously the transition period during film and digital kind of got a bit of a, let's call it different opinions clash there a little bit. So many people, especially producers, still felt that camera accessories, i.e. monitors, were still in the realms of the camera department, which is fine if you're talking about an operator monitor. But nowadays, the production structure has changed so incredibly much. So now you have monitors for hair and makeup, you have monitors for clients, you have monitors for the AD and the director, maybe another one for script supervisor with another recorder. Then you've got the focus monitor, you've got the onboard monitor. It's enough work for an entire department, especially when it goes down and sometimes they're live streaming. So the demands on set have changed so incredibly much that it wasn't doable anymore in the scopes of a camera department. Because there's so much else that we have to do. So hence the video department was created.
Yeah, I spoke to an AD many eps ago, and they were like, checks, hair, makeup, costume would have binoculars, and they would be close enough that they could check, with binoculars, and if they saw something was out of place, then they would do it. And video was between, two VCRs that you'd press and record, and they were, getting a loop out of the 35mm camera. It's, as you said, it's a department on itself. So that then kind of stuff being humped or thrown or delineated into camera team, that must, one, add more stuff onto a camera trainee who's coming to the industry now going, this is the norm, I do monitors and I do sheets at the end of the day. So I guess that structure that you're now implementing, my assumption would be that you figured out what the role is through having spoken to people that have done it before, and you've kind of then gone, right, is this actually a camera trainee? Is this first AC? Is this something else? So like, how long has it taken for you to just get to this point?
Yeah, so we spent several months talking to sort of focus groups with various different focus pullers and second ACs.
I like you did their focus groups, no pun intended, but very smart, very good, very good.
It was not intended. To sort of work out, what is a trainee's responsibility, and what we sort of arrived at is, through speaking to a good chunk of people, was they're there to learn. They have no responsibility in terms of, or no accountability should be held with them in terms of if something gets broken on set. They're not a qualified technician. Their purpose is to learn. So then, really, a trainee shouldn't be training for 5 years. It should be 18 months of. Is
that average? About 5 years now to trainee.
It's become. I mean, I remember when I first started, it was a lot shorter, and you'd do sort of 2 features. It was back film days, but you'd work on 2 features, and then you'd sort of step up to second AC or load, because you kind of got the ropes of it from there. Whereas now they're sort of running around doing video most of the time. They're not actually spending time learning what stuff is, because they are being filled up with all other responsibilities.
And sometimes,
also that accountability is put on them. So if something goes wrong, then they are like in the firing line from production, going, well, this monitor's broken, or we haven't got all these 30 monitors set up in time, or running behind, and you go, well, it's not really their job, and they're taking the brunt for this and working pretty much most of the time longer days than the rest of the camera team and they're on the smallest rate, which it should be. They're an entry level. You learn your craft with that for about 18 months to 2 years. Was sort of the people we spoke to felt was a good amount of time, and then you start second ACing.
And would you be, just from a process perspective, do you have kind of like an idea of, I mean, this will grow, but an entry amount of people, so you take X amount a year, they go on a list, they then have because I went on and looked, and it seemed like they've got like a percentage next to them. But say, would that trainee, as with most crew, be chosen by second AC, first AC, DP? Like, how are they? If I find a runner that works in my team, that works with everyone, I kind of want to keep hold of them, but I may not have a job. All of the tick boxes that they've done, they might have done with me, and they're missing X, Y, and Z. So do they bounce between teams, or what? What's the process and thoughts there?
So the idea how it works is that at the moment, obviously during the trial run, we had a camera logbook in a physical shape. So that was just to test the system. The overall idea is to create an application so anybody can sign up to it. And it's important for us that that's the case, that there's no sort of procedure to eliminate people, because and effectively, again, anybody should be able to be on that journey, and it will be down to them on whether they have the enthusiasm and the drive to gain the knowledge that they need. And we're hoping that with the community and our background, etc., we can facilitate an environment where they have the chance to learn and also get to know the people to network properly. So once they sign up, they can have a profile. They can upload as much information as they want to. And people, i.e. the crew around them, as well as themselves, they can see where they're at in their learning process. And that's not just super important for the trainee, because it's one of the biggest problems that we have come across, me as a technician, and I'm sure many others will feel the same way. Whenever I get now matched with a trainee, because we don't get to take them on ourselves anymore. Normally, you used to take on a trainee for 2-3 years and get them on every job, or like have 2-3 trainees on a mix, make sure that they have enough work throughout the year, you train them, and then you help them step up. And that entire procedure has massively changed, because obviously everybody wants to be politically correct, give chances. So everybody gets involved in that choice and becomes the political choice now, which is completely fine. But the problem with it is that now you're matched with people that you might have never met before, which is not an issue again. But if they don't know where they're at in their learning process, and let's say I'm just working on a commercial with them for 5 days, and I meet this person for the first time, and I say, okay, I want to train you. Where are you in your learning process? What can I help you with? And they say, I don't know. I can't help them, because they don't know where they're at, and I don't know what they don't know, obviously.
Yes.
So I obviously am quite keen on teaching. Others might find it quite frustrating and say, well, why should I bother? I'm just here for 5 days. I probably will never see you again because I don't get to make a choice anymore. So let me not train, or let's just start from the beginning, and then we double up on the same information again and again and again, which is also why George said some trainees are now training for 5 years. Others don't even get taught because they stand in lunch queues all day long and get coffees. So they never actually get any set time. So this entire training structure has completely changed. So by pulling in the community and saying, okay, this is the state where you are at. You have gotten signed off on, let's say, a couple of sections already. If I now get your CV or get your name, and I see you have done X amount of days and have gotten signed off by my peers that I know on various sections, I know where to pick up from. I know where you're at. So it helps me training, but it also helps them, because we enable them through asking the right questions to know exactly what they don't know yet. So they can come and say, hey, Sandra, could you show me what a diopter is? And I then can say, oh, yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't have thought of it myself, because these concepts after 13 years seem so basic to me, right? Because I've been doing it for so long. Everything seems simple and just natural. But for them, it's a foreign term. They don't know how to deal with that yet. So by being asked direct question, it actually helps me and them to get them to the right point of where they need to be.
Nice. I like that, because as you're describing it, I think in my head, even up until what you've just said, I always maybe thought of it as a potential kind of training course. But actually, when you just see it as a that like online CV that you've said of things that you've done to then know what you're missing. As a camera trainee, first day on set, if someone was to have asked me as I think my first ever job actually was a camera trainee. Thinking about it, back in, it was like 2006. I got on like a BBC thing. I'd known someone from live TV. He was DP in this BBC show, and I walked on. And if I had walked onto that set, and if the focus pull or like the first AC had gone, right, tell me everything that you should know about being a camera trainee, and I'll tell you which bits you're missing. I'd have been like, I don't fucking know. I'll push this over there and I'll get you teased. But I like the idea of not seeing it as a training course, quote unquote, but it is a database of knowledge. Your database of knowledge that someone can very quickly go, they're at 63%. they know sections 1, 5, and 2, but they actually have never done underwater, or they haven't done this, or they haven't done that. I love that idea. So, I mean, can anyone join? What's the process? Is it just enthusiasm for camera? And then we'll get onto the expo in a second, because I love that you've taken kind of, it feels like the full circle. It's kind of, passionate industry professionals seeing a problem which is probably too small for a union to step into, too far forward reaching and looking that no one thinks it's probably a problem, but actually it is. And the two of you, well, sorry, the group, the two of you that now speaking are part of a larger group that's dealing with it. How do it, if a listener now is part of a camera team and wants their trainees to join, or is a runner that wants to become part of the camera department, just give us a little step by step of what they should be doing next.
So yeah, as we said, that this is currently a test. We've for the first year, sort of trial run, where we've picked 26, in fact 28 trainees, at different stages in their training career. Some are very green, some are very advanced, just to sort of check our workings a bit of this logbook, check all the skills are completely true, accurate for what they should be doing, and the timings of them are good. And then when we launch this properly in the next few months, this will be a free, all accessible thing. Anyone can go onto the website and create a profile and download this. There's no kind of loophole to try
Sign
and
up
get
fee or membership fee. Okay.
Just completely free to sign up to. And we're trying our best to continue to do that, to make that completely free. Obviously, our biggest hurdle then is to develop a website, and to develop ultimately, hopefully, an app is lots of money. So we're sort of trying at the moment to work out the future structure of how money can come in to support trainees, to make sure it is continually free for them.
Nice.
At this stage, I also want to say thank you to our, at the moment, close to 70 supporters, including the ACO, GBCT and GTC. They've been very, very supportive. Some of them have offered finance. Others have offered raffle tickets that we're going to use for the BSc Expo launch. And others are supporting with a knowledge upload or offering courses, etc. So we are working with the industry in order to make this happen. And it's quite incredible to see how many people are actually keen for this to happen and see the issues, and also for later on the benefits that will happen once that is fully in place. But also to add on to what George said, we were very, very keen to create a system that anybody can join on, not just people that are starting, but we want people at any stage of their, at the moment, trainee career to be able to step in. So we have, within the logbook, we have created a work tracker, which means people can backtrack their work days as long as they've got a call sheet for them, as long as it's on a professional film set and they're a camera trainee, they can backtrack all their work days. And add them all up together, which is the total work days that will determine what they can get signed off or not. So the entire system is based on a method from the medical world, which is called Sudoku. I don't know whether you're familiar with it.
Who, sorry?
It's called Sudoku. See one, do one, teach one. And it's been used.
Oh, okay.
It's been used for over 100 years in the medical world and other apprenticeship-style professions, very successfully, actually. And it's meant to bring time back into the department. So there's a certain amount of time spent seeing something done by a professional, a certain amount of time doing something under supervision, and a certain amount of time teaching it to other people in a brief and concise manner. Because as you know, or as Albert Einstein used to say, if you're not able to explain something in a brief and concise manner, you haven't understood the concept yourself. Yes. And it's a system that allows both trainers and trainees to go through their learning, and also for trainers to become better trainers. Because while we might know all of these things in concept, we might not be always able or up to speed with how to explain it best. And if you don't keep the training up for that, it's very hard to, maintain a level of training as well. So really, it's a system that's benefiting both. And with the Sudoku system, it's basically each of these sections that they will have to get signed off by peers is linked with questions that will enable them to actually ask for the knowledge that they should have. So even if they're paired up with a crew that doesn't want to teach them or doesn't have time to teach them, or for whatever reason doesn't know how to teach or has stepped up too quick, or doesn't have the knowledge, they can ask for the knowledge. So if they say, hey, how does a diopter work? And somebody doesn't know, they've got two options. That person can say, hey, I actually don't know. Can we look it up together? And then you've got two people that learn something, which is amazing. You know, it's knowledge. This is the amazing thing about our job. Everybody can learn at any given stage. This is what makes the job interesting and what makes it so incredible. So making this something that people are ashamed of not knowing something is quite silly, really, because we all learn from one another. Everybody comes with a different skill set, a different knowledge skill set, and we should be using that. So in the logbook, they've got two things. They've got the questions on the online. Sorry, George, remind me.
Online training supplement.
Thank you. So they've got the questions on the online training supplement, and then they've got OTS, and then they've got the questions or the discussion points in the logbook. The discussion points are general questions that they can ask anybody on set, which is basically what we're trying to say is you can learn from anybody. Yes, you might only be able to get signed off by your second ACs and first ACs that make sure that you have the knowledge required for the final assessment, but you can gain the knowledge from absolutely anybody, and it's important to learn from as many people as you can. Sometimes your grip might be more experienced in some camera questions that your first AC might be, because they might have done it for 40 years. And it's all about, again, bringing the community together and making sure that people know what questions to ask in order to empower them through knowledge.
Nice. I love it. And as you're talking through it, and you're kind of going through this, you know, the camera Bible, the app that will become, I kind of had visions of, like, I don't know anything about being a mechanic, but through YouTube I went on and I changed the motor for our car, the windscreen wiper motor, and I took stuff out. I kind of had a vision of, you know, they're on set, someone's gone to the, you know, someone's asked them a question and they don't know, so they've go and find out. And actually there's like little YouTube like videos of Sandra saying, well, look, this is a diopter, this is the thing, da, da, da. So they kind of, even before they go on set, they can have watched and figured out and learned the gaps in their knowledge that they haven't seen on set. And I think that as a tool can only make a department better.
The one thing that we have linked it with, which I think makes it such a successful system, is that it's not just about the videos and the knowledge. You can gain the knowledge in whatever speed you want, but really it's also about bringing the time back, because as you know, if you have done something for a very long time, it looks easy to anybody around you, right? It's like watching a pottery video online by a Japanese master. It looks so easy. Once you sign up to a pottery class, you realize it really isn't.
So
and whatever
addictive.
you produce is not going to be anything you want to put onto YouTube.
I was watching, actually, it's funny you say that. I was watching a Japanese pottery master making a little tea thing, and you do watch it and you go, I can do that.
Yeah. And it's the same with any of our jobs, you know, like we've done it for, like we too, or you as well, we've done it for over a decade, right? So things are very natural and we don't have to think about our actual task at hand because it happens as second nature. So it's very easy for people coming in saying, oh, I see how easy it is. I can do it. I can step up. And we want to avoid people to think that prematurely, because it's not to their benefit. It's not that we want to stop them stepping up. We want them to be at the best possible stage, knowing exactly what they need to know and being in a position to have a system in place that will help them then to be a second AC and continue their journey. Because it takes 3,000 repetitions for a skill to become second nature. And many people don't know that. It's something that you need to do over and over and over again. And something that we have gotten as feedback as soon as people started looking at the logbook is, I never knew that trainees need to know so much. And there's so many skills that, you know, small skills that are small stepping stones that you need to do again and again and again. And hence that's why time is important next to the knowledge.
Nice.
There's another element of something we're trying to introduce, which we haven't spoke about actually, into the camera trainee education, is that we are making mandatory a couple of the we call them professional development skills, which we feel a camera trainee should learn early on in their career, and that will help them grow through the industry to be a good asset. These are non-technical roles, so they are things like health and safety, how to read a contract and understand all the terms and understanding rates, how to manage your finances and what's the difference between PAYE and Schedule D, and all these things that a couple of the courses that we did, I sat in on. I thought, I wish I had this when I first started out, because it took me years to work out that I was paying how much tax was going in different pots. And so I think we think that having a trainee learning that early on in their career, by the time they get to sort of loading and focus pulling, they know the battles they can have with production. They know what people should be paid fairly, and you'll get hopefully more established rates and people that are sort of are backing their crew in a decent way.
Yeah, and I love that. Well, that kind of rounded approach to being film crew, because no matter how much money you make, if you, it's not the wealthy aren't the wealthy because they make the most money. It's because they know how to manage and keep their money. And it's, you can be the most successful DP on the planet, but if you earn X and you spend X plus 10% each month, you're not going to be able to sustain a career in an industry that we love. And we do this for the love. We get paid for it handsomely in some departments, and at different grades. And I do think that the trainee, say with runners in commercials, you kind of you normally tend to do about 3 years. And then if you're wanting to get into the ADing, you're then doing another kind of 2 years of maybe jumping up, doing some thirding and all the rest of it. And I never had been taught anything, really. You learn from looking, and you learn from, if you have a decent second or a decent first, they would have, they might pass you on something. But now, as mandatory, when I was seconding, I would print off a shoot report and child record sheets and stuff like that, and just put them in the runner's hands, and just be like, look, if you want to be an AD, this is the stuff that you're going to need to do when you want to start seconding. And I think what you're doing is you're taking the experience that you and your peer group have gone through, the journey that you've gone through, you've distilled it down to its most important relevant parts, put it into some sort of structured book that, one, is commendable. So well done, and thank you so much for all of the trainees that will do it, and the generations that are coming up behind them, that this will just be the norm. And in a few years' time, they'll be like, what do you mean there was no camera trainee? How did you do it before? Just amazing. And I love it. And that's why I wanted to give you this platform and this voice to tell people that actually change can happen, and change in a department doesn't need to wait for the top end of unions, for the big studios, for the stuff. It starts from the bottom, because you are the ones that are doing it. You know what is needed, you know how it can benefit, and you have that core belief that actually your experience is worth more than going to film school. As you said before, I went to film school for 3 years at London South Bank, and the only thing that I came out with was mise en scène. That was it. 3 years. A phrase. Could have learned that in a book that I read, or on set. And I learned more on set in the first 6 months of working in the film industry, of how it works, not why it should work, but how it works. And yes, you could read a book till you're blue in the face, and you go, this is how I need to shoot the scene. And then you get onto the location, and there's a lamppost and a brick wall and something else, and the lighting's bad, and you got to change it. It's like all of those things. If they can be documented and learned before they even step foot on a studio, amazing. I think it's absolutely brilliant. You should be proud of yourselves. So so I guess we're kind of getting close to the 45-minute mark. Is there anything, last little notes, last little messages before you kind of round the ep up? Anything that I've missed?
There's one thing that was very important to us as well, which I don't think we have actually covered yet, which is that obviously this is a project for camera crew by camera crew. Our main drive was to bring the community together and create something that everybody can be proud of, everybody can be part of. So no matter whether you're crew and you want to join, or, for example, as an ambassador, somebody who is like an in-between between the system and the crew, or whether you want to partake in the actual, organization of CineCertified, or whether you're a trainee that wants to start. Later on, we're obviously going to cover second OCs, first OCs. There's already a logbook being written for DIT trainees and video trainees. Other departments have reached out. So it's a system that's meant to be non-intrusive and just again, bringing the community together, making sure that people know, hey, I'm starting out, but there's actually people out there that are interested in my well-being, in my learning process, and have a vested interest in me being the best possible technician I can possibly be. And that's very important to us.
Nice. And then we're recording this end of January, but when the episode comes out, which anyone that's listening to this now on the day of release, it's the 9th of February. So I'm speaking to our future selves. Did you say 12th, 13th, 14th or 13th, 14th, 12th? Yeah, 12th to the 14th. You're at the expo. So where is it? What's the process? How do they get there? What can they learn? And obviously, what can they get to benefit?
Sorry, I think it's actually the 13th to the 15th.
13th to the 15th. Sorry. The middle of Valentine's. So you're either side of Valentine's Day. I like
Yeah.
it. Nice.
But yeah, we will be present at the BSC spreading love, and yeah, we've got some fun raffles and things that we've got a of our long list of supporters. There's been some very generous contributions, so we've got some insane prizes that we're going to hopefully give away to a lot of trainees there, and just spread the word about what we're doing there.
Can I add something to that?
Yes.
So we don't have a stall ourselves, but we're gonna be basically exhibiting with all our exhibiting supporters. We're gonna do fun games with the GBCT, the ACO, and the GTC.
I'm going to need to get you to just write those out, because every time you say it, you're so experienced at saying it. I'm like, I'm sure I just heard GTA and British and BHS and M&S, but just give me when we do this thing, I just need to get exactly who they are and what they are.
We'll write it down. And we will have flyers and banners all over the show. Our basically team will be wearing t-shirts, running around, so anybody can be approached. We'll have copies of the logbook with us, but also our fantastic launch team have organized a treasure hunt with all our supporting exhibitors, and
Nice.
So yes, that's going to be, those are all little things that we use as fundraise, so we can actually be able to offer the app and the entire system for free to everybody. Obviously that will include a lot of footwork from our side to enable that to happen. So the actual launch might be a little bit after the BSC Expo, as soon as we have the funds together to get the app out and pay the people that are doing it for us. But yeah, it's all on the way, and we hope that the crew will believe enough in what we do that they want to support it.
Nice. Where is the expo?
The expo's in Battersea Park.
Amazing. And I'll put a link up, and we can say if anyone that's interested, they can get it. So I kind of get towards the end of the episode, and I feel like it's really clear to me that the two of you just are so passionate about film and passionate about your department, that you and the team around you have taken it upon themselves to help structure and mold a department that is an important part of any film set. And as generations come up the ranks and things change, I'm sure that the knowledge that they need to have on that day one of a film set will evolve and will change. And I think it's amazing what you're doing. And I encourage every department that should look at what you are doing, and CineCertified should be a cross platform, cross department, across the board, something that we should all be doing for those that are coming in at entry levels. And I love that the price point is nothing, so that if you are from a socioeconomic background that doesn't allow you to spend thousands of pounds on education, you actually you're being handed the information that you can get on that course as a starting block. I think it's phenomenal. I think what you're doing is amazing. I'm so pleased that you said yes to come on. And I just want to give you the Film Gods round of applause. Woohoo! Because as we said before, most of this is about someone's journey and what they do and how they do it and why they love doing it. But I kind of feel like we've just dug a little bit deeper. We've just scratched the surface of the skin of film crew into, well, actually, we can now take control of our departments and of our industry, and we can mold it and we can turn it into what we know is needed. Because as you said, 30, 40 years ago, the industry was totally different. The workflow was totally different. The hours, it was 8 hours. It wasn't the 10+1. It wasn't the 12s. It wasn't digital. It wasn't, I've got 3 days to shoot in 2. There was time to breathe, and there was time to take 5 and have a cup of tea and teach and train and give that generation coming up the opportunity to try. Like if you're on set and you're a focus puller and you've got 20 minutes until the light goes down, the likelihood of you ever giving someone the chance to pull focus on a shot, no matter how simple it is, you've only got 2-3 cracks at it. You need to do it. Whereas maybe before, okay, I've got 20 takes. Maybe have one. We've got 3 in the can. Come on, get up here, have a little crack at. So I don't know. Do you know what I mean? So I think pacing of the industry is changing. Your ability to look 10 years down the line is phenomenal. So I guess as an ending point, because I felt like I've spoken now for about 3 minutes, and this isn't my podcast, it's yours. What do you want CineCertified? What's the dream for CineCertified in the next kind of 5-10 years time? And then just finish off the ep with any advice to your younger self, and then just give us all the info for the expo again.
What we would love is that the industry truly comes together, meaning not just the camera department, the organizations, the companies, but also productions, post-production houses. It doesn't matter. Everybody come together because everybody's trying to do a little bit. Some people might do courses, some people might offer this, some people might offer that. If we all consolidate our efforts together, we actually can create something that's beneficial for everybody, that's helping, and that actually speaks to the core of the problem rather than just trying to put out the fires you can see. So for us, in terms of a 10-year plan or future plan, we would love this to become a standard for people to actually find it helpful, and to feel like they're welcomed into an industry that helps them progress through it in a natural way.
Amazing.
Yeah, 5 to 10 years, I'd hope that we've broken into other departments as well, and that the camera department has changed in a massive way. I'd say maybe 20 years. I'd hope that CineCertified doesn't exist, that it is just that what we've implemented is just the industry as a standard, and that it's no longer having to try and teach, but that is just a new generation of stuff.
Yeah, agreed. I guess as we've touched base on it, the generation that are coming up behind us, what we are asking them to do will become their new normal. And what they will do is then pass that down generationally to their trainees, to their trainees, to their trainees. So it just takes one generation to stop it, to change it, to mold it, to make it into something that is beneficial. Super amazing work. Just amazing work. And if anyone wants to reach out to you, is there a website? Is there socials? How does anyone get in touch if there's someone listening that does want to help with raising finance for the app, or someone that is a super experienced DP that wants to become an ambassador? How do they reach out to you?
So we've got a website, www.cinecertified.org. We are also on Instagram, again, CineCertified, and you can find all the email addresses on there. It's also info@cinecertified.org. So yeah, feel free to reach out. Feel free to come and find us at the BSC Expo. We're always happy to chat. We are happy to, present what we have done to everyone because we are very proud of it. And we hope that we get everybody on board.
Amazing. Ladies and gents, an amazing ep. 2 amazing people surrounded by phenomenal. I'm so encouraged that our generation of film crew are trying to do so much and help so many. I love it. It's commendable. Ladies and gents, I told you you're going to have an amazing time. Hope you've learned something. Go check them out. Share this to someone that wants to be a trainee or is a trainee and just would benefit from learning from what the team are doing here. And until we meet again, ladies and gents, that is a wrap. So that was a chat with the king or queen in the game. I'll give it a shout at the end so you all know the name. It's the Film Gods Podcast. The what? The Film God Podcast.